My name's Guy Kesteven. I've been professionally reviewing bikes and kit since GT brought out the LTS. And today I'm live ride reviewing the Sensor ST Pro. 120mm rear, 140mm front, all round 29er trail bike. But the most amazing thing about this bike right now is how much you can buy it for. And if the frame looks familiar, that's because it's exactly the same as the longer travel Sensor Pro LE I've tested before, but with lighter kit on it for a more XC trail rather than trail enduro vibe. But then if you're really grunting the revs down at higher torque and lower crank speed, you'll find it is pretty bouncy and wallowy. So definitely using this lockout lever more than I would on a bike with more anti-squat and a more positive pedalling feel. But if you're a spinner rather than a stomper, like I say, it's a very efficient rollover. And the longer you go, the less you're going to do those hard standing out the saddle efforts, and the more the fact the bike's just been burbling away underneath you like an old Specialized is going to keep you and your legs fresher, and the rest of you, to be fair. And also the lockout isn't a full lockout. There's still a reasonable degree of movement in the shock, so it's not like you're getting kicked all over the place with it on. It just feels more like a proper pedal function on the lock. So don't be too scared by that padlock symbol on the 2-position lever. But then there are a lot of other positives to bear in mind on this bike when you're climbing, not least by the fact that 14.16 kilos, it's large without pedals, isn't particularly light for a short travel bike. For a £2,000 bike, it's very light. It's lighter than the Merida hardtail at this price, with similar angles, because it's got carbon, not alloy frame. Plus, it's got fast rolling tyres, dissector front, recon rear, because it's got slightly thinner 27mm internal rims. They just roll that bit faster still. There's not as much grip on the ground. And the full-size Sensor, which incidentally weighs 15.5 kilos. And that all adds up at the top of a climb like this. So I wouldn't say it was down country, but it's definitely not, oh damn, country. And of course that fluid suspension, fast rolling tyre setup obviously pays dividends on rolling sections like this. We've got lots of little bits of stone poking through that could knock a momentum out of a firmer feeling bike. This just kind of limousines along. Although it is a recon tyre in the rear, so it's pretty lightweight. And if you're an actual Peak District dweller, I'm just down here to see my mate John. He actually lived here and we're riding a lot of rock all the time. Definitely at least fit an insert, if not a heavier tyre altogether. Because again, that narrower rim just means a little more chance of pinching, because the tyre's more balloon shaped, which is what gives it life compared to a squarer tyre profile. But it means there's more chance of the top getting folded over. By the way, for any of this, you're like, what did he say? What does that mean? Just, call it out in the comments, because those kind of explainer videos would be really easy to make, and it stopped me making assumptions about what you folks do and don't know. And the other thing that helps on any slight rise, not even the super steep ones, is that really aggressive seat angle, centering you forward on the bike. And while you've got that 77.4 degree seat angle, you've got a nice slack 65.4 degree head angle at the end of a 485mm reach. So nice stable front end when you're dropping into little rutted single track you have never done before. And also you cannot complain about the spec for this price. So you got Select Plus hike up front, so you got the full charger damper, but without any of the hassle of those new bushings that caused a lot of issues with the Ultimate forks. And then you've got DX gears. Yeah, you've got a stylo chain set, which is a bit of an old, obviously I had a few of those left from COVID, but actually it's some fine chain sets, just not current generation, and it's, you know, it's old GX, it's not T-type, but I mean that £2.5 Specialized I reviewed the other month, that was SX with a power spline, solid bottom bracket, for more money than this. So in terms of a bargain compared to a new bike, it's absolutely ridiculous. And you know, stuff like the bars and stem are generic GT alloy, but you know, they're a decent shape and size. You get 170mm dropper because you've only got 420mm seat tube on this. So again, it's actually a really progressively shaped frame from that point of view. BB height's okay, it's 39mm drop, 440mm chainstays on all sizes, so yeah, it's just nice and balanced. Nothing crazy, but the price. And also that Select Plus shock is on a trunnion at the top, so that gives it extra sensitivity, because you know, you actually got cartridge bearings on there, not just a bushing. I have to say, yeah, definitely put a little bit more rebound on, because it's quite a mobile feeling rear shock. Also, the whole bike, the whole frame, has just got a really nice vibe to it. It's often, with like cheap full suspension, certainly carbon, it can feel really dead. And previous GTs I've tried have been guilty of that. Well, this has a proper kind of spring and liveness to it. Really nice feel, which, you know, is a proper bonus. So you're not just getting a horribly dead bargain feel bike, you're actually getting something that's playful and springy and enjoyable to ride, but with that smoothness that, you know, keeps stuck down to the ground on faster trails like this really predictably. Woo! Only thing I would say is there's definitely some, sorry, just gratuitous, I don't know where this goes, I don't know what the trail does, just being a plonker to be honest. Let's see, I think this will be a little single tracky drop in. Yeah, I think it is. You. What I was going to say is there is quite a lot of flex from the rear, which is compounded by that very buoyant shock feel. So it's quite agile in a kind of 3D flexy sense. But then that gives you that kind of cliched Amory Piron, super thin seat stay, extra compliant traction vibe, which again is just really fun to play with. And unfortunately, at that point, for the rest of the ride, we were on, let's say, cheeky trails that John, who's local to them, didn't want me putting on film, which I totally respect, because there's nothing worse than having some idiot on YouTube or Strava or whatever kind of outing your local trail, either over meaning too many people ride it, or you create conflict issues that haven't been a problem for the previous several decades of just people occasionally riding it. And then I took this Sensor ST out of the weekend, got dressed up in all this same kit, tried to make it like there wouldn't be a glitch in the Matrix with the filming, and so absolutely tipped it down the whole way around. Plus, the brakes were squealing because they were so wet. Microphones got flooded on the GoPro, so nothing was going to happen there. But what it did do was really reinforce what an efficient bike this is, certainly for the price, in terms of just pedal. I pedalled up to Stainburn from home. So, you know, that rear tyre rolled up nicely. It's light enough. It pedals okay. Flick the lockout on. Zero drama pedaling up there. And when I got up there, I was totally happy in all the steep stuff, because you got that really good quality 140 fork on the front. And, you know, a reasonably bitey dissector tyre as well. And the geometry is bang on for all that steep up and down stuff that we were doing to keep ourselves warm up there. And it's also efficient enough to kind of, you know, explore the cross-country trails. There's been a load of forestry work up there, so me and Tony had a look around up there to see how the demolition work was going up there, see how much work we've got to do up there with winter in terms of getting the trails back in there. But, you know, it's just a really great all-rounder. But I'll take the opportunity now to just come over, grab the camera and go through some detailed bits on the bike. And the first thing I'd say, there are some detailed bits on the bike, which, you know, I would have called out if it was still £4,000. The fact that you've still got a screw-on free hub there, so it's not an XD driver, so you've got the heavier cassette. You've limited to an 1150 cassette on there. It's not the full Eagle experience. Also, that's an NX shifter up on the bars, which is a bit low rent, really, for a bike at 4K. But otherwise, in terms of, you know, you've got Deluxe Select Plus rear shock, you've got Deluxe Select Plus Pike up front with that full Charger 2.1 damper, which is a really, really good damper in this fork. You've got a decent seat post. Lever's a bit spongy, but it works fine. Looks a lot like a KS to me. You've got the right bar and stem set up on there. Nothing fancy, nothing carbon. I know, Truvative stylo, like I say, you know, I've not seen Truvative on a bike in a long time, but it's a perfectly acceptable crank. It's reasonably light. It runs in a dub bottom bracket, so that's the latest standard, so you don't need to worry about replacing the crank if the bottom bracket wears out, or replacing the bottom bracket if the crank wears out, etc. And you've even got a little optional ISCG mount there for your chain security. And although, you know, and I have to say, the cable management, although it's external from further up on the down tube than a lot of bikes, it's actually really, really neat. If you look at the way it sits in there, it's channeled into those chain stays, really, really neat. And you've got those carbon seat stays that help save 600 grams out the frame compared to the previous bike. And to be honest, it puts me in a real dilemma as a tester, because this bike is never not going to be 2.5K, because they're just going to keep selling it at that price until they haven't got any left. So, you know, effectively the retail is now £2,000 to £2,500, depending on where you buy it from. But theoretically, it's 4K. So it's just a reflection of the weird world that the mountain bike industry is in at the moment, mate. But anyway, like I say, that's probably another video. And just to pick up on, you know, the fact that, you know, that is a really nice looking linkage there. Welded, two-piece alloy linkage. You've got this, I mean, I think GT are trying to kind of evoke their triple triangle design from their old retro hardtails, when basically the seat stays used to overshoot, and that was really their signature move. And they've kind of done this. They've done it on their gravel bike as well. But actually what it makes it really look like is the Evil Following, which again, very similar travel, very similar purpose, but you're looking at the money for this complete bike
for just the frame. In fact, probably more than that for just the frame. But there is one interesting little glitch that someone pointed out to me, having ridden the Sensor LE, and it's something I never noticed, so I'm not going to call it out as a massive drama, and Andy didn't notice it either. It is that there is so much kind of asymmetry going on with this part of the bike. It's all offset to one side on the seat tube and on the main pivot. And I kind of just presumed, you know, it was the same either side in terms of actually where your feet are and where your cranks are. But if I just spin that around to the other side, that wheel is truly on the center line, then the cranks are offset to the drive side. So, but like I say, neither Andy nor I actually picked up on that when we were riding the bike. So I'm not going to call it out as a massive issue, but potentially, you know, there is what, 5 mil, 4 mil of difference there in terms of how your feet sit in relation to the wheel. So basically, Sensor is a bit crabby, but this is a great moment to say I really do appreciate it when you guys give me extra feedback in the comments. If you spot something that I've missed, I mean, it just makes for a better review. So if there is something I've missed, or if you have an opinion that's different to mine, don't, you know, let me know. Let me know. It creates an interesting discussion in comments. It gives a broader point of view on the bike. And in cases like this, you know, that's something I hadn't noticed. I just kind of presume the bikes are aligned. Maybe I should start checking them all. See what other differences would get thrown up. So there you go. That's the GT Sensor ST. Quite possibly the best value short travel all-round mountain bike that you can buy at the moment. Yeah, there's a few glitches if you're paying full price for it, but the geometry is really sound. The suspension is actually excellent if you just want a classic neutral riding FSR setup with some quality RockShox components, managing the damping and springing side of things. You've got a decent transmission on it, great tyres, adequate wheels and finishing kit, and it's £2,000 to £2,500. I mean, that's ridiculous compared to full list price on other bikes. So, yeah, if this fits your bill, and like I say, it's a very versatile bike that I've really enjoyed riding. And actually, confession time, my mate Andy has been riding this bike a lot when his Tallboy 3 was out of commission through. He needed some spares on it. And he absolutely loved it. He put a couple of months into this bike. Absolutely loved it. Particularly like the geometry changes. It's a little slacker up front. He loved that steeper seat angle, which is really, really interesting. Because Andy's like, he's 60th birthday soon. And he's a very traditional mountain biker. But he loved that steeper seat angle on the bike for the climbing. And didn't find it an issue with pedaling. And I thought, you know, his knees have been pretty much in the same plane when it comes to mountain bike geometry for the best part of 30 years. So I thought if anyone was going to complain about that new pedaling position, it would be Andy. So I guess it depends what you want from your biking, really. If you're buying this from a dealer, you'll still get full dealer support. You're still getting a brand new bike. You'll still get all the standard warranty support on this bike. So massive thanks to GT for sending it in. Sorry I took so long to send it back. A huge thanks to my Patreon subscribers who pledge on a monthly basis. And they make a massive difference to sustainability of the channel, and they get early, extended, ad-free edits as a thank you. And they're starting to get exclusive cuts as well, which means you don't have to listen to all this waffle at the end of every video if you're on Patreon. But, so if you really like what I'm doing here, please consider supporting me on Patreon for the price of basically a cup of tea and a biscuit every month. But massive thanks to my industry supporters as well. Those guys' names will be scrolling up at the end, you know, who sponsor the channel, which means I can spend more time talking to you, which is getting ever more important as websites and media die around me. I really need to make YouTube work. So if you guys could subscribe, that would be a huge help. Click for notifications when my next video comes out, and give this a thumbs up like and tell your mates about it. Because if you want me to carry on doing this, basically I need to make this my full-time job going forwards. So the more people watching it, the more YouTube spread the videos, the more advertising income I get. Simple as that. But for now, I've been Guy Kesterman on Guy Kes TV talking about the GT Sensor ST. Very possibly the best value short travel trail mountain bike you can buy anywhere right now. So let me know what you think of this bike. Let me know what you think of the current pricing chaos. Let me know what you want to see on the channel. Have a great ride for the rest of September and hopefully see you out on the trail sometime. Cheers.